my 3 minute of lateness. 3 minutes of lateness. I literally could not get my camera to work properly. Ah, but I am here. We are on. Good evening. All right. We are on. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let me give you guys a chance to get on. Oh, it's 3 people popping on already. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Let me type in the chat. Peace and love. Hey, Mike. Hey, hey, hey. Let me put that there so I can see that. Oh, I forgot my glasses, but we gonna be all right. Good evening, everyone. All right. All right. So let me move this out of the way. Hey, Leia. Move. Okay. All right. All right. Hey, sis. Hey, sis. Good evening, everybody. We had some drama go on here in Georgia. A few tornadoes touched down different places, so we were all affected. What's the topic, or am I jumping the gun? Yes, you jumping the gun. Slow down, brother. All right, yeah, we're not gonna belabor the moment. We're gonna get right into it. Mike is already ready. He obviously didn't look at the topic for tonight, but that's all right because I'm going to put the topic up in just a second. In just a second. Hope you guys had a good week. Hope you guys had a good week. I had a good week. Had some things going on today, had to take care of. But my girl Leia, who is on, thank you so much, babes, held it down at DLC. She and the staff did a great job today, so I appreciate them. So, good evening. Welcome to Real Life Relationship Growth. This is our once a week time to come together and chat and talk with each other and get into some good conversation. Good conversation. This is the place that we come once a week. It's called our segment called Camper Conversations. For those of you who don't know, who are new, Camper Conversations came from I have a fifth wheel camper. I got in the camper one day and I was like, yo, it'd be a good idea to come in here once a week, go live, get with my friends, my people, my family, and discuss topics that involve us. Us meaning us as adults in relationships and life, dealing with this thing called life that we're talking about. So, again, welcome to Real Life Relationship Growth. This is our weekly segment called Camper Conversations. I am Donna, and we're going to get started. A few announcements, real quick. Just one. Just one. I put a poll up on the Real Life Relationship Growth page um, because I'm trying to narrow down a weekend for our singles mixer weekend, right? Got a few comments, a few feedbacks. It was first suggested maybe we'll do Valentine's weekend, but I was like, I don't know. So I've decided that we're going to do it in April. I will let you guys know very, very soon what week in April that we are planning to have our singles mixer weekend. Married folks, it does not exclude you all because on Saturday, we're going to have our live forum camper conversation discussion. We're going to pass the mic. We're going to have some people up top um, talking, and the audience is going to be able to come in and voice their opinions and their thoughts and give their advice and their love and their experiences and all that stuff. That's what we do here. Real life relationship growth is a place, it's a safe place for us all to come together and talk about things of life that deal in relationships. And the whole purpose and point of this is to grow healthy relationships, real life. We're in this real world together, healthy relationships. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not looking for you to change my mind. But in some aspect, in some way, we may change each other's thought process, or we may just change the experiences that come to us based on something I may have dealt with in life before, I may give my advice on, and you may not have dealt with it before, but then you come to this situation in life and you could think about what Mike may have suggested and how Claudette may have handled the situation, or what Leah thought and what worked for her. And it might work for you. That's what we're here for. We are here to love on each other, give each other sound, great advice, the best we can, and our experiences are what they are. Those are experiences. Hey, Shannon, our experiences are what they are, and they may be useful or helpful to somebody. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started since Mike is so impatient. Spring, the weather is much nicer. April is great, not cold, not hot, just right. My exact thoughts. So our topic tonight is bam. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? Hey, Vanessa. Hey, is that mama or is that daddy's fault? So, hey, I want to get started with this. I'm going to put up a few pictures, guys, because y'all know when I put a topic up, the title of it may have you thinking one way. But when we get started and we start discussing, um, there's so many different points, valid points that come out of it. I don't I don't lean toward one way or another. I mean, I don't lean toward male, I don't lean toward female, unless the topic is exclusive for male or female, i.e., pregnancy situations, um, prostate cancer, things that only men deal with and things only women deal with. But the majority of the time, 90% of the time, our topics can be felt by both genders. Okay? All right. All right. So, um let me put up a few things. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? Vanessa said a lot of it is nurture, but I feel it's nature. At some point, we are responsible for our being, for not being itness. Okay, listening. All right. Thank you, babe. Thank you, babe. Y'all, I forgot my glasses, so bear with me. Must move back a little bit. I'm trying to see both. So I found a few captions that I liked. Found a few captions that I liked, and I thought, and we're gonna dig into why these captions are here. They ain't ish. Is that your mama or your daddy's fault? Few captions, right? Okay. All right. So let me start this out by saying this. What brought this topic, this idea? A friend of mine, Finley, hey Finley, I don't know if he's on yet, but I'm sure he's coming, sent me a plethora of topics. And again, ladies, the fellas got y'all hands down with these topics. I'm telling you, they sending them, they inboxing me. They like, yo, let's do this, this, this. So Finley, I really appreciate of the many topics that Finley has sent me over time, and he sent quite a few yesterday, new ones. Um, we're not doing any of them tonight, and he's not going to take offense to that because he understands. We will come to those topics. We will get to those topics because there's so many we can share. But this topic, I came across this literally on last night. Hey, Daddy. That's my daddy, y'all. Bernice McBride. And my mommy. Hey, mommy and daddy. I literally came across this topic last night. I was on TikTok. Y'all know I like TikTok. Like, they have a good time with TikTok. I was on TikTok and I saw a video from a particular person. I don't know if it was from her page necessarily. It may have been that it was just shared because she's been around for a very, very long time. She's a family, marriage, life coach, motivator, counselor, all of those things. I'm not going to throw her name out because really honestly don't know how that may work with me giving her name. It doesn't matter who did it. The situation that I saw, this is what came up, right? So I saw this video, and in the video, there was a mother and son facing one another. And in the background, sitting with family members and the father, her ex husband. I'm going to assume it was the ex husband. I meant ishness. Yeah, I kind of got it, Vanessa. It could have been her ex husband, could have been her current husband. I'm not sure. But based on the situation, I think it was the ex. But the whole family was there. And in the video, it literally started out, it came in, the son sitting in front of the mother said, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm gonna get this a little bit, that you put a protective order, a restraining order out against me. And the mother was like, well, yeah, because you scared me. I was scared. And the son got offended. And he was like, pretty much like, I scare you. Like, I don't even want to come around you. So why are we even worried about if I scare you or not? And the host of the whole situation, the counselor, let me say she's a counselor because she is. The counselor in the situation said, wait a minute, because she doesn't let things get elevated. She makes you think about what you're saying and why you're saying it. Y'all pretty much probably know who I'm talking about. But anyway, she was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Again, I'm paraphrasing if you saw this video. She was like, wait a minute. Um, why is it that you feel that way? Are you responding that way? He was like, well, she took a restraining order on me. And the mother was like, again, well, I was scared of you. I'm scared of you. Your anger and the things that you do and the things that you say, I didn't want you around. And he was like, again, he didn't even want to be around. And the question was asked, why didn't you want to be around? Like, why? And he said, because she had the nerve to put a restraining order out on me when the way I act and everything I do, I learned from her and my dad. And there was like a hush, like, So our counselor was like, go ahead and speak on that. Speak on your truth. And the son, facing the mother, the son was like, you show so much anger. I learned from you how to have outbursts, how to throw things, how to yell and holler and curse people out. He said one time she threw a knife at my dad and it almost hit me and it stuck in the wall. And the mother was like, I didn't throw a knife at you. And if I wanted to hit your father with the knife, I would have hit him. I was just pretty much trying to scare him. And the counselor was like, so you expected him, and the son was about 9, they said, when it happened. He's now, I want to say he's like 25. And it was like, so you expected him to act a certain way when it came to you, but everything he saw, you have to imagine, he was 9 when he saw this happen. He was 9. He was now about between 21 and 25. And his mother had taken out a restraining order against him because she said she was afraid of him. And this young man sat there and was like, but I learned all of that behavior. I learned how to handle my emotions. I learned how to lash out and fight and yell and whatever from you and my father. So the counselor was like, so now she flips it. Because at first I thought she was kind of on the mother side. Like, you're scared, you're afraid, I'm with you. But the counselor turned and pretty much let the mother know, so what do you have to say for yourself? Because when you look at the situation and he spoke his truth, why Are you at a point of taking a restraining order out on your child, your son, when you train him to be that way? You taught him, hey Ash, you taught him to be that way. You and his father. And the young man sat there and he had this look on his face. And the first thing mom did was her first reaction was, if I wanted to hit him with a knife, I would have. Deflection. She wasn't taking accountability. And then she was like, well, this is the part, y'all, that kind of got me. Kind of got me when I wanted to say, girl, please, whatever. But then this is the truth of the matter, because this is coming down to already the point of this topic. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? So mom said, well, I need you to see me for who I am now. I need you to see that I've allowed the Lord to come into my life. I've thought about and learned from the wrong things that I did when you were younger and when I was younger. I had counseling. I got into counseling. Ding, ding, ding. I'm saying it early. Counseling. I took counseling and I've changed. And I need you to see me for who I am now. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? I need you to see who I am now. And she was heartfelt with that. She was like, that was then. This is now. But this 21 to 25-year-old young man is sitting there and he is destroyed because he reacts and acts the way he grew up and what he saw from 9 years old and maybe even earlier. His parents act and his parents for the way for his parents were the way his parents were. Mike said, sounds like toxic parenting early on the subject. The kids don't ask to be here. Them chickens came before the eggs. Kids are like sponges, observing and absorbing everything around them. Most definitely. Most definitely. That's what they see. So what they see, they react to. Hey, Miss Ladonis, what they see, they react to. What they see is what they react to. So this is what the mother wanted him to see. This is what he saw. And this is him as that little child. And this is what the mother wanted him to see. This is what she is now. So I watched that video and I watched it several times because I wanted to make sure I was getting the meat of it and the heart of it. But really, it only took one time to watch it. And this thought came to my head. So this young man now is struggling with anger. He's struggling with knowing how to have a healthy, thriving relationship. He's struggling with fear. All of those things he's struggling with. And I'm sure more he's struggling with. But because his mother and father were struggling, because we're going to get to that part too. Because his mother and father were struggling, and now mom at least has owned up to her behavior, has made changes, took counseling, has found a faith, a belief, her faith in God that has helped her. What about the children? What about the children? Y'all know that's my passion. That's my passion. What about the children? Another thing I saw, y'all, another one I wanted to share because I don't want it to be one-sided to mothers. And a lot of times, mothers tend to get a bad rep. They do get a bad rep because there are times when mothers are dealing with things that the world doesn't even know, that children don't even know about, right? So it reflects. But in this situation in particular, it was the mother and the father. Because he plainly said, I learned this behavior from you and my dad, you and my father. This is plainly what he said. I learned it from you and my father. That's what he said. So I saw another video. Um, this one broke my heart. This one broke my heart. There was the video started out automatically. I wanted to add it on here so we could watch it, but um I'm still getting used to doing this thing, y'all. Let me see. This is what I want to do because I saved it. I want to play this video. Make sure there's no background. Let me take this off because I want to play this, y'all. I want y'all to listen to this and make sure the volume is up so we don't have no issues. Why, Daddy? Talk to your mama. Talk to your mama. Don't talk to me. Talk to your mama. Say everything why your mama want to know why. And she knows she want to tell us what. And she think I'm going to continue to do for y'all. Nah, that shit dead. Talk to your mama. Don't call me for nothing. Y'all don't have to call me no more. Talk to your mama. Not me. Deal with your mama. Now call your mama and talk to your mama about it. Ask her why she did what she did. And that'll explain why I did what I did. I will not be coming to get y'all no more. Yes, I am home, but I'm not coming to get y'all no more. Talk to your mama. She don't care about how y'all feel, so she don't care about the kids that are home. So that shit, I'm not coming no more. I hope that was clear enough, y'all. If it wasn't, let me explain to y'all what just happened. This child was on the phone. He said, "Why, Daddy?" And he was crying. The tears is what got me. You can hear him sniffling, especially on the end. The father was saying, "Talk to your mama. Talk to your mama. She put me on child support. So I don't have nothing to do with y'all no more. She put me on child support. I'm not even coming around. Y'all ain't gonna see me no more. You talk to your mama. You ask her why she did what she did." And this baby is sitting here saying, "Why, Daddy?" And he is sniffling and he is crying. Why, Daddy? This man cursed, he used profanities. He was like, "Talk to your mama. I ain't got nothing to do with y'all no more. If I got to pay child support, I ain't doing no extra, you know." And I was like, whoo. Carter said, "For a man to punish his children because he doesn't like what the mother's doing is disgusting. Very disgusting. Very disgusting." That video hurt my heart because all I could hear was that baby crying in the background. What about the children? They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? And this is where it ties in, y'all. After listening to both of those, talking about both those stories, mother's issues, daddy's issues. Mike said we should not use the children as the conduit to express our anger towards the other adult. That was sad. Very sad. Very sad. And in both tokens, both parents did it. The mother, in her anger for the father, because she threw the knife at the man, did not care that her son was standing there enough where he had to move for the knife to, stick in the wall right beside him. The father angry and telling the children he don't have nothing to do with them no more because the mother made a decision to put him on child support. I don't know the backstory. This ain't about child support. So please don't type it. This is not about child support. So the children, listening to the young children in that car and the cries of the children in that car, and then listening to the young adult man sitting in front of his mother, in front of that counselor, explains so much of why relationships are a struggle as adults, are a struggle as adults. So many times we see kids acting up foolish. I see it all the time, y'all. Every day. I see it to some level. A child is acting out, not doing what they're supposed to, screaming and hollering, whatever, whatever, right? Being rude, misbehaving. Y'all, listen, I had a 3 year old one time, a 3 year old that was enrolled in my daycare center. This little boy was beyond awful. When I say awful, and I don't call children awful, let me tell you how awful this little boy was. And my mom, she on here, she can remember this little boy. Of course, I'm not going to say his name. He was 3. This child told me, I told him to do something as loving as I thought I could, just, teacher mode. This boy didn't want to do it. He turned around, grabbed his crotch, and told me to suck his dick. 3 years old. And of course, our first reaction, we want to get in the child and whip they behind it, and say this and say that and that. But when we think about it, what does a 3 year old know about telling us to suck their penis? That came from the adults that this child is being raised by, around, being permitted to hang out with. So if he said stuff like that, y'all can imagine what the day to day was with this child. What the day to day was with this child. Let me put a little plug in. We can affect a child's life well beyond the negativity if we continue and see that they're a child beyond what the adults have instilled and put in them. We have devotion every morning. From day one of me opening my business, every morning we have devotion. And based on time, sometimes we may be running behind, things get out of order. There's some form of devotion that happens, right? And that's right, learn behavior. And every morning we say the Lord's Prayer at Donna's Loving Care. That's a part of devotion. I don't care how old they are, we say the Lord's Prayer. And the little babies are learning to talk. You can hear them like, they can't speak yet, but they got the rhyme of the Lord's Prayer. And the older ones can say it, right? This little boy would never participate, and we don't force them. This little boy would never participate. He always wanted to be over off on the side and playing or doing whatever, right? Long story short, probably about 3 weeks into him being there with us, I heard him and we saw him over by himself, and he was reciting the Lord's Prayer with everybody else clearly, just like that. And I turned and I said to the staff, and it brought me to tears because I was like, this is why we do what we do, but this is why we try to ignore the adult behavior and deal developmentally appropriate with the child's behavior. Because this boy, in the midst of not wanting to be bothered, telling people to do this, wanting to hit and he heard every day the good, and he knew it and he could say it. And the longer he stayed, the sweeter he got. But every time his parents came to pick him up, his parent, his behavior, he would just act awful. And I was like, that's not him. But anyway, back to the point, y'all. Back to the point. These relationships that we go through, whether we start dealing and talking and dating someone and we learn that they're not for us because of toxic behaviors, or they mistrust, or it's hard for them to, they run, and they the smallest thing happens, they run, the relationship is over, or they end up being physical and wanting to fight and things like that, right? Don't we understand that everything someone does may not really truly have anything to do with us? It may not have anything to do with us. What it may have to do with, and most of the time, what it has to do with is children live what they learn. So when you're in a relationship with a young lady, you meet this young woman, you're in a relationship with her, and she checking your phone, and she want to know where you are and what you doing and why this and why that, and she always want to argue, and she's always, you want to, you feel like all you want to do is fight and argue all the time. That part right there, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Thank you. All she wants to do is fight and argue all the time. And you like, man, I don't want to deal with all of this drama, this, that. Now, please understand, I realize we all, everybody does not have the capacity to deal with everything and everybody that comes their way. And you don't have to, and you should not. We have to understand and know what our capacity is. We have to know and understand what we can deal with in a healthy manner. So I would never say stay with a woman or a man who has toxic traits and has issues that they have not begun to try to work out and resolve for themselves. Never stay in that type situation, especially if it's abusive. Never, never, never. But this is talking about taking the time to look at people for who they are and why they are the way they are before we just take off, or before we just end the relationship and put that person in the mindset yet again, ain't no good. And ninjas ain't no good. See, it didn't work out because, all men are dogs and all men are this and all men are that because, he gone just like the other one. Not recognizing and realizing it's because of you. But as a parent, as an adult, y'all, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility because we are creating the next generation of broken relationships. Y'all know me, very transparent. Um, I share a lot, but please believe there are lots that there's a lot that I don't share. But when it comes to these matters right here, I don't mind. I have two wonderful, wonderful adult children. Two wonderful adult children. And I'm thankful and proud of who they've become. And I honestly have to say, I know that's a big part because of me. But I also have to say, the hurt and the things that they deal with, that's because of me too. Because we went to London this past Christmas, my daughter, my nephew, and we went to London to visit my son. And my son made a few comments. He would say a few things, and they made me think. I had to think about that thing. Like, wait a minute. Was I this type of parent? Did I do certain this and did I do that? And did they see their father and I argue? Yes, they did. Did they see some we didn't fight. We didn't do the physical thing. Um, did they see us, say things that shouldn't have been said? Did they hear it? Yes, they did. Did we consider that our children were there? No, we didn't. Now, was it purpose or malicious? No, it was not. No, it was not. We live what we learn. We live what we learn. Love my parents to death. I do. Love my parents to life. Stop saying the death part. Love my parents to life. But we live a constant flow of what we learned or did not learn, and we pass it on and we pass it on and we pass it on. That's what happens in life. Um, there's no perfection. There's no perfect parent. There's no perfect relationship, no perfect marriage, none of that. It's a learning process through all of it. I did not have some of the tools that I needed to be a wife. I did not have some of the tools that I needed to be a mother. and not putting all of that on my parents, because we make choices. I had my son when I was young, so it's things I did not know that I should have known coming into being a parent. When you sit and you plan, young people, younger adults on here, do not let anybody rush you into becoming a parent. Take your time. 20s is not the age to be a parent. You just coming off the hump of being in the teens. Cause they ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? So when you're in a relationship with a man or a woman and you hear this thing, they ain't ish, ain't that he ain't this, his mama ain't do this, and his daddy and her daddy, da 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 da. And they don't know how to be productive in a relationship. They don't know how to communicate in a relationship. They don't know, hey King, thank you. They don't know what it means to be a they don't know what it means to be a smart parent. I like the term smart parent because we can be dumb parents. But when I say smart parent, the skills and the understanding of how to be a parent, how to deal with that 2-year-old that's having a temper tantrum, how to deal with that 13-year-old that's liking girls and smelling themselves. Like these are life skills. These are things that we have to know and understand that we have to deal with as parents. Um, and while we're creating these little monsters, we have to remember they're going to grow up to be men and women. So what are we instilling? What are we showing them? What are we showing them? I agree early. Enjoy your 20s, all of them, most definitely. What are we showing them? What are we doing? How ladies are we showing our sons how to be the best boyfriend? Because let's be real, it has to start before marriage. He can't jump from mama's house to marriage. So, how are we teaching our sons, ladies, how to be a gentleman, how to open doors, how to talk to the young lady that he wants to talk to, as opposed to "Hey, shawty," or "Girl, what's up?" or what are we teaching our sons? So some young lady won't be like, "He ain't ish." What are we teaching our sons that make them understand and know how important it is to be particular about their virginity? Be particular about who they date and who they. Society tells guys and tells men, is, get as many as you can. It makes you this, it makes you that. So these young boys are hearing it and they seeing it and they watching it, they listening to the music, they watching it in videos and whatever they see, because social media and everything is just woo. They see everything, they get everything, things that we couldn't have imagined, that we ain't even get into. They seeing it, they getting it. But how many conversations do we have about, hey son, make sure you open the door for the young lady, make sure you talk to her as if you were talking to me, or if you want someone to talk to me. Fathers, when and where and how are we teaching our baby girls that her body is so fearfully and wonderfully made, that the man that is able to touch her has to be. But if we acting up and showing out and cursing each other out and disrespecting each other, and they say you disrespecting their mom and whatever, how do you think they're going to respond? How do you think they're going to respond? We have such a large percentage of single women in this world. And of course, the fathers are single too, because if they're not married to the mothers, they are single, right? But on average, if you had 100 people in the room and they were parents, How many do you think are single females doing it on their own? I have gone through hundreds of clients in the 23 years that I've been doing childcare. Y'all, I promise you, it's beyond half that were single mothers. Let's take the number 100. There was at least the whole, as a whole of 100, 75%, and I'm being generous, 75% of my clients were single women that had no help. Yeah, we can go with 78. That had no help, that have no help, because it's not over with. We in year 20 of Donna's Loving Care. No help. And they're raising. So let me say this little tidbit. And some people don't agree with me, but honestly, I don't care because this is reality. Women cannot raise men. A woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. Can't do it. I can teach my nephew how to respect the woman, how to treat a woman, but I cannot teach my nephew how it feels when he has his first erection and what to do with that. And truly how that, I can't do it. I can't do it. A man cannot teach a girl how to be a woman. There are some aspects of the development of a girl that a man could not possibly be able to tell her how it feels for her breast to be developed and all those feelings that go through her body. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? There's a way that we see to be right. Let's be honest. We all come from different backgrounds. We've been raised different in different ways, different households, different nationalities, and the way you may have learned to do something and to discipline, and the way I may have learned to do something and to discipline could be totally different. But let me tell you what's the same. Let me tell you what's the same. I don't care where you're from, what part of the world you are from. Let me tell you what's the same in every living, walking, breathing human being. Your heart, the emotion that comes, the feeling from the heart. There are emotions. We all have them. We all cry. I'm not saying why we cry. I'm just saying we all have the capability. We all do. Whether we want to or not. Whether we want to or not. We cry. We bleed. We breathe. But that emotion, that heart, I was teaching the kids yesterday. We was talking about the brain. And I was telling them the brain is the central nervous system. The brain is the center for the entire body. If you stub your toe, the reason you say ouch is because the brain registered that there's a pain. You've hit something, you hit it hard enough, and you're going to cry, scream, ouch, whatever. Because the brain told you. When you move your hands, the brain is telling what part of the phalanges to move to the brain. We all have it. The emotion. When you hurt someone's feelings, I'm not talking about how they handle that hurt. I'm talking about the fact that they can be hurt, which means we all have feelings, right? King said men and women can only teach what their idea of a man and woman is in most situations. Most definitely. What their idea of it is. The idea is not always actually. The idea is not always the actual. So I can teach my idea what I think my nephew should do or how he should feel as a man, but I can't factually do that. So then we have these children that are growing up and they're watching the foolishness of the adults. They're watching the foolishness of the adults and they're mimicking them. I don't care what you say. Children do what we do, not what we say. Now, let's understand and let's know there are some people in life that make a decision. There's something in them that makes them say, I don't want to be like that. And they do different. They are influenced by something. The outside influence says, this hurts. My mother is angry. She's always upset. She's always um having outbursts. I don't know if she loves me. My father always looking mean. I don't ever hear him, I don't ever see him smile. And they say, I'm not gonna be like that. I'm not gonna walk around like that. I'm not gonna live my life like that. I want to enjoy life. I want to be happy. And they make a decision to do that. And in making that decision, that means they have to be influenced by something opposite of what they see. And they make a decision to do that. It is very common, and it does happen, that people don't always live, but I guarantee one thing. I am not a professional. I didn't say this at the beginning, but I like to always say this. Hi, I am Donna. I am not a relationship expert. I don't claim to be. I don't proclaim to be. I never said I was. I'm just a black woman in this world, living this life, enjoying myself, doing the damn thing, and enjoying myself. That is who I am. So the things that I speak and say, I don't come from an area of expertise. And then again, there are some areas of expertise that I speak on just like you and share that and thank you. But everybody has feelings. And when we're not careful of how we deal with those feelings, we come from having children to preteens, to teenagers, to adolescents, to young adults, to older adults who don't know how to handle their feelings and emotions, which affects healthy relationships. Period. That's what happens. It affects those relationships. It affects those relationships. So when a young lady tells a man, you ain't ish, or a young man or a man tells a young lady or a woman, she ain't this and she ain't that, how much of that came from mama or daddy? So we have to understand and we have to know that what we do, our children are watching. And what we do, our children are looking for to us for help, for understanding, for hope, for growth. Those are just a few things where our children look to us for. And when we drop in the ball and we producing the next generation of sorry Negroes, because come on, let's be honest, moms, some of us know that our sons ain't ish. We know that. But we ain't gonna admit it because that's our baby boy. Some mothers know that. Now, I have to be honest, y'all, this is not my case. Everything I say does not apply. And if that's your situation, but some of us know, some women know that their sons ain't worth nothing. But truth be told, were their fathers worth anything? Some of the men know that their daughters need to be doing better. Their sons need to be doing better. But did you teach them? Or did they watch you? When y'all, I have to, when I meet parents who have child after child after child after child after child, preference and choice. I'm not knocking anybody who wants a big family and who loves children in that manner. I'm not knocking that at all. Not speaking against it at all. But what I am speaking against, and what I will say in all actuality and truth, if you cannot financially, mentally, and emotionally take care of those children, then you should rethink those children. Because is it really fair? We can say, oh, the whole mother loves her children, and yeah, she does. But and yeah, he does. Dad does too. But is it fair to bring a child into this world and then leave them to technically fend for themselves? Because that's what we do. That's what happens. Listen, mistakes happen, rape happen, all type of situations happen that bring children into the world. But we have to make a choice and decision. If these children are in this world, what are we going to do to make them healthy, productive citizens? Because think about it. I had this thought, y'all. As I watch a parent curse their child out in the store, right? I'm thinking, do you realize that that child at some point in time, one day, is going to be taking care of you in some fashion or some form? Or they're going to be taking care of other citizens in this world. The lack of respect that we see from young people to elderly people, that's their mom and daddy's fault. Are there people that stray away and even though they're taught the right thing, they still do what they want to do? Yeah, we know that. We know that. As you get a certain age, you know, you start understanding right and wrong. But when we put a foundation in the children and we create citizens of this world that are not so favorable, watch it. We create citizens that are not so favorable. And then we want to sit up and throw them away like that mother did. Now she want to put a restraining order against her son because she's scared of him now. But she's fearing her own creation. She created that. And yes, I applaud her for making a change and changing her life because at some point, we all do and we all did, or we're all doing, trying to do better in our situations. I really pray and hope we're trying to do better in our situations. But this boy, this young man, one ish, if she is so scared, imagine if he mistreated his mama. Imagine the young lady who's fallen for him. Imagine how he treats her. Imagine how he treats her. So, what we teach them and what we do determines what they're going to do and how they're going to treat others. So, if your son or daughter ain't ish, I said on the beginning on the post that I made today, warning. I put a warning on this discussion, y'all. Because listen, I'm not here to offend. We this is called real life relationship growth. And if we don't dig into the realness of life, we have no growth. We will not grow. We will not grow. So if you're that parent that curses your 2-year old or 3-year old out, please understand you're creating a person who lacks respect. Why? Because when you degrade a child, and children are literal, they don't understand sarcasm. When you degrade a child and make them feel less than, you start creating a lack of love for themselves. Do you know why? Do we know why? And we know why. People get into relationships and they allow themselves to be misused, mistreated, and abused. You know why? Because they don't love themselves. We have to learn to love ourselves. And a lot of times, knowing how to love yourself has to start with someone being loving, mama and daddy, towards you. Towards you. My cousin Terry, y'all. I have a older cousin. He's a little bit older than me. The majority of the people in my family, cousins, wives, or whatever, are males. My sister and I, and our youngest sister, we were like the only three girls in a mix of a bunch of guys, right? My cousin Terry Roberts Jr. plays ball for UGA. The boy is bad. Y'all check him out. Check his status out. Terry Roberts Jr. But I'm not talking about Terry Roberts Jr. I will in a second. I'm talking about his daddy, Terry Roberts, my cousin. Terry, when I say is such a loving and affectionate man. Terry's wife has been, praise God, healed of her cancer. She went through cancer. And I tell him all the time, cousin, I applaud you because you are there for everybody all the time. And I asked him, what do you do for yourself? And he was like, that's a good question. I try to do this and I try to do that. And of course, he does these things because he wants to. He's a father, he's a husband, right? But the reason I speak on my cousin Terry, y'all, is because let me give y'all a perfect example. Terry greets you with a hug and a kiss on the cheek as a woman, as a female, the ladies in the family. He greets the men in the family with a dap and, they dap up or whatever. And he's always asking people, are they okay? Are you good? What's going on? If we in the mix of a family event or we out somewhere, he gonna come rub you on the back, make sure you're all right. I mentioned his son, Terry Roberts Jr., not because he a baller, because it's in the blood. I mentioned him because my little cousin, his son, is the same exact way. When you see him on the basketball court playing ball, he grinding out, he doing his thing. But when you speak to this young man, hi cousin Donna, how you doing cousin Donna? He greets you with a hug and a kiss on the cheek. You know why? Because Terry Roberts Sr. greets you with a hug and a kiss on the cheek or a dap and a hug to say how you doing, how you feeling. This is how my younger cousin greets me every time I see him. And he will go around to every family member and he would do the same thing. Why? Because his daddy, Terry Roberts Sr., does the same thing. He does the same thing. They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? The flip side of that is they can be the greatest boyfriend, the greatest girlfriend, the greatest wife, the greatest mother, because mama and daddy made sure that how they acted and what they portrayed and what they did gave them a foundation and set them up to be the best they could be for themselves first and then for others. So on the flip side of they ain't ish is examples like my cousin Terry Roberts Sr. Now, I know he ain't a perfect man. He has his ways. I'm sure his wife can say some stuff, but like any wife or husband could. But they've been married for, I'm not sure if they coming up on 20 or a little bit longer. And I know she has a husband that has supported her through her bout with cancer, and her healing, and he's been there to support. And his son and his daughter Tiana, TT, is same way. She's the sweetest young lady. But that example, so the same way that there's a negative, there's a positive, y'all. If you are a parent, I'm gonna close with this, y'all, because I came on about three after, so we right on the dot with three after. But I'm gonna close with this. I'm gonna end this conversation with this, and I appreciate y'all being here. I'm gonna end this conversation with this. If you are a parent, if you are a couple who find yourselves at a crossroads and you fighting and arguing and not showing true affection and true love, first thing I'm going to ask you to do, I'm asking us to do, is sit back and look at why your significant other is the way that they are. See the person before you take it personally. See the person before you take it personally. Meaning, every way, everything a person does is not about you. Sometimes it's about their battles within themselves. If you love that person, if you care about that person, if you see enough in that person that says, you know what, at one point in life, we were like this. That was my baby. That was my boo. That was my man. And woo, she was sexy to me, and he was fun. And da 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 da. See that person, and when the ugliness comes and the hurt comes, understand that it's coming from somewhere. See the person before you take it personal. Personal. See the person before you take it personal. And if we do that, if we look at people first and try to understand why they are the way they are, why they're acting the way they're acting, if we see that first, we can take more time. Personal. We can take more time in working on our relationships and giving our relationships a fighting chance, a good chance to become healthy. You know, an unhealthy state can become healthy. When you are sick and you're dealing with illness, disease, a virus, whatever it is, we work and we take the medication and we do what we need to do. We change our diet, we eat the right things, we get exercise, and we become healthier from sickness. If your relationship is at a point of destruction and breaking up outside of abuse, because love yourself first, work on that thing. When children are involved in the backdrop of that, just understand what you go through, they go through. What you do, they're going to do in some form or fashion. What you feel, they're going to feel in some form or some fashion. So, y'all, they ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? We can heal from the trauma and the drama and the toxicity that affects our lives, our emotions, our thoughts. We can heal from those things. But we can't do it if we continue to deny, if we continue to run, and we leave this example for our children or our nieces and our nephews or the children that see us on a regular basis, and we create what? We create what? They ain't ish. Is that mama or daddy's fault? All right, guys. Whoo! I don't know. There's so much more that I want to say with this thing, but it is after 9 o'clock. I love y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. Please love on someone. Find somebody to love on. Say hello. Be there for someone. You never know who you are affecting and how it's affecting them. I love y'all. I will see y'all next week. We're gonna hit one of Finley's topics next week, y'all, because he sent so many. King, love you, brother. He sent so many topics to me. I don't want to ignore the stream of what he sent. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Please, please, please love on someone. It does make a difference. Good night.